have entered the first map over here, Hardlat, and in the top left of Hardlat, spawning as our red Protoss player, it is ShoWTimE. Tobias Sieber, EVT rank 20, playing for Team Big.
And his opponent on the bottom right hand side, representing Mystery Gaming, it is Cyan.
Beautiful stuff. PvP. Now, I really like this matchup. I like watching it. There's something beautiful about PvP, is that neither player truly has a clue as to what is going on in the first 4 minutes, but you have to pretend like you do. And that is my absolute favorite part of it. So you have to make some assumptions. You know, PvP is a lot more like poker than most of the other matches, where sometimes you need to bluff a little bit, sometimes you actually have good cards, but you're not sure if you have good cards, and sometimes you're just getting absolutely destroyed and you don't quite understand why. It's such a beautiful thing, as we see Cyan here with the second gate scout. Now that can indicate two things. It can mean that Cyan wants to proxy something, or it could just mean that he wants a little bit more money and to scout later. And you never really know until you see a pylon go down. Although with this path, it does feel like it's just going to be a late scout. ShoWTimE on the other hand scouted a bit earlier, I think after the second gas. It's going to be there like 10-15 seconds quicker. Pylon at home for both players, so nothing weird going on here, but you're still not going to be aware of your opponent's tech choices or the first two units that are being popped out. So there's still lots of mystery going on in this matchup.
A lot of mysteries indeed. As I just want to give a quick shout out to ShoWTimE, who went through the center of the map, which I see a lot of programmers not do. You have to manually do it, but it's the faster way for the worker to go. I'm not exactly sure why the AI goes around the edges, but that's what they do. As here we see the first deviation, Cyan going for the Stalker sentry, so wanting to expand safely, whereas ShoWTimE going for the double Stalker, which is obviously also very standard. But I think Cyan's unit choice spoils us a little bit more as to what his plan is.
Yeah, and you want to hide the fact that you have a sentry. You didn't actually try to hide it, but ShoWTimE didn't stay long enough. Ooh, tiny little blunder there by ShoWTimE. You usually stay near the ramp with your probe until 228, maybe 227, 228. So if there's an early sentry, you can see it pop out, and then you get a lot of information. ShoWTimE didn't do that, doesn't get any information as a result, but still will send these two stalkers across the map. That is a ballsy move over here. It's even following this up with two more stalkers, as well as a nexus behind all of this. Worker count, well, you cut one probe for a little bit. Twilight already going down here for Cyan, who's trying to hold his low ground. It's going to have to reveal the fact that he has sentries. Is he chronoing the warp gate? He's not. He might be in a little bit of trouble here. If ShoWTimE had moved across the map instantly with Stalker 3 and 4, I actually think Cyan could have been in a bit of trouble, because he didn't get a 5th gateway unit, and he didn't chrono boost his warp gate.
Yeah, so Cyan getting away with a little bit of murder there. As a shield battery
Minor murder, it's just tiny murder, not a huge murder.
Just a shield battery being a little bit too late and not chrono boosting.
But Judge, come on, 10 years? It was just a small murder.
Accidental murder.
No, I don't think this was an accident. Cyan knew full well what he was doing with that late battery.
So what if Cyan went for the sentry like 3 seconds later in order to
yeah, that's what you usually do.
You have a sentry. Yeah, right. So, but he didn't do that this game.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
So he got the 3-second faster hallucination scout, which isn't that huge. It feels good to get away with it anyway, because your opponent didn't stay with the probe. Ooh, both players sending adepts across the map. ShoWTimE's adepts do get spotted. I think Cyan's adepts haven't been spotted yet, but might get spotted now by the Stalker. No. There is a probe, of course, patrolling the ramp, as there always is on both players' side. Let's see if ShoWTimE is quick enough. Yes, he is. 4 stalkers downstairs should do the trick. And, well, so far so good for Cyan, if you ask me. Loses a sentry, but kills both of these adepts. Hasn't lost his own adepts yet. Needs to use the full HP adept here to block the stalker a bit. Isn't quite doing that. It's going to take 2 more shots as a result. But this is fine for Cyan. It's ShoWTimE with the robotics facility. That is the safe play, but a bad play. As in, you're going to delay your 3rd nexus for no real reason. Cyan here says, I don't think you have the balls to play DTs, and Cyan is correct. He's judging this situation accurately. This is an underdog play, skipping the robo.
Exactly. I was about to say, with the way Cyan has been playing so far, with the way we've seen him play so far, I fully expect him to not go for a robo before the third Nexus, and rather go for it afterwards. So he's just getting slightly further ahead than he already was. I mean, just by the fact that he went for the Sentries instead of the Stalkers, had a little bit more minerals. His Blink is a little bit earlier, he can now move out. At the same time, he's also attacking with his Adepts. So ShoWTimE is on top of the Adepts, but this shade should finish. And he should get a couple of workers, not perfectly controlling it because he's busy Blink microing. I think he took a little bit of a better take at the front, as he killed a couple of Stalkers of ShoWTimE actually. So good micro at the front from Cyan, actually blinking forward. That's a wild move. Yeah. Not sure if I like that one. Not sure if I like that one from Cyan whatsoever, as now ShoWTimE can chase. He didn't kill anything. ShoWTimE had a good micro there. And he just threw away a little bit of his lead because he was definitely ahead before that.
Yeah, he was in a really good spot. And I honestly felt like he could have just pushed that back and maybe even gotten a cancel on that Nexus. He is already up in workers as well because ShoWTimE probably felt the need to cut a little bit there. Or maybe just forgot to build probe. Sometimes, of course, it can happen if you're under a lot of pressure. It's often easier to continue macroing if you're the aggressor because you're deciding when fights are happening. Cyan still is in a lead, by the way. This is by no means like, oh, Cyan just threw it out of the window. No, he still has a small probe lead. His +1 is significantly faster than his opponent's +1. The Forge isn't even done yet here for ShoWTimE. So I'm loving Cyan's position. He has the ability to go for perhaps a +1 timing with Immortals. That is huge because it allows Immortals to 3-shot Stalkers once that +1 finishes. With charge, there's some serious potential here. That's for sure.
Yeah, there is for sure. I mean, ShoWTimE is trying to play the very standard way, also the very safe way, the way you're supposed to play if you're the overdog, if you're the favorite in the matchup, as Cyan gets another Stalker here off of ShoWTimE. Also skip the battery here. Absolutely doesn't need a battery though, because he's even ahead in the unit count. And the one good thing for ShoWTimE is that he didn't rush the fourth base off a low gateway count. He's actually going up to a high gateway count himself. He's getting up Stalkers and he's getting up charge himself. So if Cyan was to attack, this is the way to defend, right?
Yeah, that's a neat little 4-Stalker run by here that ShoWTimE is executing. First of all, scouts the double Adepts and also forces defensive warp in. Can probably eventually just recall those back home. Does need to do it at some point. Gets a bit of damage in as well. We get a pretty big recall. Cyan is going to try and sandwich it, but ShoWTimE realized that ShoWTimE is playing this extremely well. These were some very nice moves.
Yeah. I love the fact that Cyan realizes, okay, this is not working out though, and he's just trying to fourth base. He's starting +2, so even if he doesn't kill him, it's completely fine. Whereas ShoWTimE is in full defense mode. He's like, okay, this guy is just trying to kill me. I'm still the favorite. Let me just try to defend. But Cyan is probing up. He's getting a fourth base. Still threatening to attack as ShoWTimE oversplits some units towards his natural, towards the shade. But really good concave by ShoWTimE. I don't think Cyan can stick around here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. ShoWTimE seems to be aware of it. Good pick up there on the Immortal. This was a blink forward. Now a blink forward out of Cyan. Is actually going to clear that. ShoWTimE's supply just dropped massively as a couple of workers are also going down. Adept target firing these probes. Another blink forward here. Should probably try and target that battery. Gets it at once. Immortal in the back still dishing out damage. The +1 for Cyan here paying dividends as GG gets called and Cyan with a pretty decently sized upset here, taking the first map against ShoWTimE.
Yeah, for sure. I know it myself from ZVZ. It's extremely difficult to try and play safe for everything against someone that has no shame. It is so difficult. Yeah. And Cyan didn't even cut that much. I mean, he just tries to cut some corners, some very reasonable corners to cut, by the way. And then he just gets ahead, and from there, it's not like he's that much worse than his opponents. I just love the way he's approaching all of this series. Yeah. And he's on the edge of scoring the second upset and being 2-2, right? 2-2 would be his score. Yeah. In a group with ShoWTimE, Dark, Maru, Rainer.
The group of that. It is the group of that. This is the hardest group to be in as seed number 6. Like, no doubt in my mind. By far the hardest group. And he's showing what he's made of right here. And, I mean, I don't want to talk about it yet, but there is a chance that he advances, Lambo. We could be finding Cyan into the round of 12. And I think he is one of the least likely players that people would have put in the round of 12.
No, he is the least likely. Not one of he's the least likely that I can remember ever. Literally ever. I don't remember another group where it's like, okay, this is 5 of the best 8 players. Maybe, let's say 4 of the best 8 players, and then ShoWTimE, who's like, call it top 12, top 16. Yeah. and then you put the lowest seed of the entire tournament in that group. Like, I don't remember that ever being the case. This would be the biggest upset of someone advancing in Katowice ever. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I think so too. I actually think so too. It of course it hasn't happened yet. Cyan is just up 1-0 right now. He took out Maru yesterday.
Still needs to beat Rainer as well tomorrow if he wants to make that happen. So we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I think it's fair to get a little excited over some Cyan magic here.
Indeed, indeed. As the man is spawning in the top right here on Hecate. Let's see what he's prepared for us this time around. Standard opener. And I like what you said. These are very reasonable edges to, you know, to cut. Very, very reasonable. And he's just doing it every single time. ShoWTimE being the responsible adult here in this relationship, and he's scouting early and he's making sure that nothing weird happens and nothing too weird is happening. But Cyan is taking leads again and again and again, and that is very frustrating here for ShoWTimE. I almost would like for ShoWTimE to kind of throw a curveball here and to take a little bit of control. Sometimes in PvP, I think one of the things that Hero does very well when he plays PvP is that Hero is always the underdog in the series. That's not true, obviously, but the way that he plays, you can't really differentiate it between a worse player playing against a better. You know, he'll proxy 2 out of 3 games against someone 1200 MMR lower than him, and he'll win 2-1. It's like, yeah, that's PvP. Hero takes those risks, and ShoWTimE here, I would like for him to take a little risk as well. There's going to be like a proxy Stargate, a proxy Robo, even just a fake proxy pylon. I think these things, they throw your opponent off a little bit. It is very scary to do, though, if you're down 1-0 already, with most likely your tournament live on the line. If ShoWTimE doesn't win this series, he still has to fight against Hero tomorrow. It's going to be a very hard tale for him advancing out of this group.
Yeah, and he would rely on help from others because he would be 1-3.
Yeah.
Advancing with 2-3 always is a very difficult task, and it relies on luck, basically. So yeah, both players just scouting usually. Very, very normal stuff from them so far. Cyan also not going for any of the proxy stuff. He likes to cut the normal macro corners and play macro games. He's not even playing cheesy ever, I feel like, so far.
Yeah.
He's just playing pretty standard-ish stuff with his own flair, I would say.
Yeah, he takes some liberties that aren't usually you can't entirely take them most of the time. You know, just delay the battery by a little bit. Like last game, I think legit would have been over had ShoWTimE just rallied Stalker 3 and 4 across the map. You're fighting with 2 Stalkers and 2 Sentries with a late battery against 4 Stalkers. Like that is not a fight that you win. That is the type of that is just game losing. That is how PvP works. Like if you're not in a good position there, you're at least gonna lose your pylon in that case. Like you just cannot defend it. It is not possible. You're gonna lose your battery, you're gonna lose your pylon, and then ShoWTimE has a lot of momentum on his side. This time ShoWTimE, he's playing a build with a bit of momentum in there. Look at that. I like this. 4 adepts into the Stargate. Oh, Cyan, however, did he scout the Stargate or why is he doing this? He's just feeling it.
No, I mean, yeah, he's just feeling it. He's basically blindly going 3-gate Robo. Now, one thing real quick is ShoWTimE, he placed the pylon in front of the ramp of his opponent instead of right next to the gateway. If you put it next to the gateway, can you not always see the units that are spawning?
If you rally the top gateway to the bottom and the bottom gateway to the left, you don't see it now.
Okay, so even if you put them, let's say, in between the gateways, you can still rally them to the outside. And you wouldn't see it?
Oh no, in between the gateways you can. Yeah, you could. There you could.
Yeah, because yeah, Cyan just hit the fact that he was going to Stalker. He now has 4 Stalkers. He's going to get the pylon for free. And if he sees ShoWTimE setup, he can simply just play for an expansion himself.
Yeah. The one problem here for Cyan is that he has a very low worker count. So sometimes you do this build with 1 or 2 probes extra. He really can't afford to lose anything here at home, and he knows it as well. This recall, this looks like he might be a bit over-eager at pulling the trigger here. This is 100% the correct call. I still would love for him to just start worker production. Like, it's not quite like having a Nexus, but it's the next best thing, basically. As these Adepts are taking a bit of damage, are going to finish their shade. There are 3 Stalkers in the main. So you know you're going to lose workers if there's an Oracle and 2 Adepts out. You just know that's going to happen, and it's happening now. Cyan wasn't quite ready for it. He's going to lose 4 probes here. And what started as a really good spot right now actually is a pretty scary spot. The moment that Immortal finishes on ShoWTimE's side of the map, ShoWTimE is safe. Now, he cannot move down the ramp, but there's no reason to move down the ramp, because right now ShoWTimE's going to have A, better tech, B, he's going to still have an Oracle on the map, he's mining more than his opponent. Like, why would ShoWTimE ever need to walk down the ramp as long as there's no Nexus? There's no reason for that. So I like the way ShoWTimE played. He went to a very high worker count, straight into that robotics facility. He's gonna lose this one gateway, but that's not really the end of the world. I think Cyan here is really committing quite hard to this push, just continuously warping in more and more stalkers. I think this was a contained play. This should have been a contained play. This isn't a contained play, but it should have been. And now he's gonna try to contain. Now we're seeing the workers being added in, but at this point, the Prism is out for ShoWTimE already, and there's so much freedom here for our German Pros player.
Yeah, this is what I thought would happen. The moment he sees, okay, this is still a one base.
Yeah.
ShoWTimE, you just stay on the bottom, you try to defend at home, you get up your own Nexus earlier than your opponent, play from there. So I like this initial position. He's now trying to go for a Stargate himself. So trying to go for Phoenix, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if this gets scouted, it is really not good. And I think it is going to get scouted. Good revelation caster out of ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE wanted to know if this was a blink all-in. I think that's what he was trying to figure out. The moment you see it's not blink, I think ShoWTimE right now has the right to move down the ramp, actually, if he wants to. He's already using that Immortal plus Prism, and I think he can just straight up walk down, get his Nexus, while simultaneously also pushing out across the map.
I would like to see Cyan actually cancel the Stargate and just expand himself. Because I feel like he doesn't really have much of an offensive threat anymore going with the army that ShoWTimE has right now, and ShoWTimE is going to expend 100%. Now, if you can't kill your opponent, then I feel like his only chance is to get his own Nexus, so I'm very surprised by the fact that he let that one finish and he's starting Phoenix Immortal production now. I guess just to survive on his side of the map? Maybe he's hoping for ShoWTimE to attack, or...
I don't know. I think he just wants to all-in, honestly. I don't see anything else but an all-in here. Like, this has to be an all-in. Oh, he's trying to take the gold, maybe, but that just got spotted by the Oracle. That actually would have been a very good move as well. I actually think that probably was the best play he could have gone for. It's very unfortunate that ShoWTimE scouted that pylon. Had Cyan just built a Nexus there and then gone for a push, ShoWTimE scouts his opponent's Nexus, not, you know, being absent in the natural. And then maybe you can do something, just continuously building Phoenix Immortal, getting slightly better eco than your opponent, because, you know, ShoWTimE feels the need to cancel workers. That sounds like a move, probably the move that has the highest likelihood of winning, but yeah, ShoWTimE is very aware of these types of tricks. He's very good at scouting, and he's just going to continuously scout this again and again and again. Cyan decides to build the Nexus on his natural. He's in a world of trouble. He's going to try to go for a push on 25 probes still. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing that has to work. That pylon was there for a long time already. I'm not sure what the original plan was from it, but that was there ever since the first 3-gate Robo move out was there. So that's where he was warping in the initial units from. If he actually had just gotten a Nexus there at the very beginning, instead of trying to go for the attack, that would have been a really good play. But at this point, it's going to be very difficult for him. He, as you said, he has to attack. He's just down in everything. He's down in tech. The only thing that he's going for himself is that the army value is still very even. He also has more Phoenix, which means he can lift the Immortals of his opponent and try to make something happen, I guess, with a sentry-based attack. Instead, he's going for his own Twilight, and he's going to try to somehow come back in a macro game.
Yeah, this is practically impossible. I think Cyan believed his opponent was still on 1 base. He hasn't scouted the fact that ShoWTimE is on 2 base yet. So he probably thought it was going to be like a 1-base Phoenix war or something. I'm not quite sure what Cyan was thinking, but he was wrong in thinking what he was thinking. As yeah, ShoWTimE already saturated here on the natural. Cyan is dead. It's extremely unlikely that he's going to make a comeback into this game. I'm trying to imagine a path forward here for Cyan. The only thing I can see is if ShoWTimE takes a 3rd base, pushes across the map, and then while trying to micro 2 Immortals in the Prism, loses both of them to a blink forward or something. I actually think this move out by ShoWTimE is an interesting risk that he's taking. I don't think this is necessarily a bad move, but I think this is the most likely way for ShoWTimE to lose.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think the only way for Cyan to win is basically an attack, then this forward link is definitely the only way for ShoWTimE to lose. I mean, I understand why he's going for it. It's because of the stasis that he hit on the 5 Stalkers. He already has the army advantage, so that means he's that much further ahead. It's also blink against no blink, so he can make those units, whereas Cyan can't really. Although ShoWTime's not really microing Stalkers that much. It's just basically blinking them all at once. Cyan takes picks up the War Prism at the back of ShoWTimE's army here, but the army advantages are just a little bit too big. Even if he tries to lift the 2 Immortals, I don't think he would even just win the Stalker vs Stalker fight. And GG is called. ShoWTimE ties up the series 1-1.
Yeah. That fight might have been different had the Phoenixes been at home, because then it's 4 Phoenixes versus 1. Maybe you can pick up the Immortals of the opponent. You know, we can maybe make something happen there. But if the Phoenixes are across the map, 4 Stalkers are stuck in a stasis ward, to me that sounds like an impossible scenario. And it already was going to be hard, of course. ShoWTimE does pick up the victory there in a... in a kind of a weird game. Build order-wise, this looked really good for Cyan. These are build order wins. Definitely build order wins. Like pretty big advantage. Probably would have been better had he played 2-gate Robo, but 3-gate Robo against this particular thing is also very good.
Yep. Yeah, he just, I don't think, quite understood his win condition there, or what he had to do. He was never going to kill ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE played it so safe in his main base. That was never going to happen. And then, while losing stuff at home, you just could not afford everything he wanted to go for, and yeah, it didn't work out for Cyan this time. As map 3 will be Alcyone, whatever you want to call it, honestly. I like Alcyone, or Alcyclone.
I like it too. I'm just really wondering what ShoWTimE is thinking right now. Because this is still scary, you know? Like, it feels like Cyan has had 2 shots at winning another game. Gonna throw some crap at you. And you know that Cyan is going to be taking some risk. You're just not sure what risk it's going to be. Where is he going to cut the corners? And it's also not completely unthinkable that Cyan just plays like somewhat of a regular macro game. You know, he was playing a pretty normal macro game in the first game. Just, you know, some small cuts here and there. And life was all right for him. Alcyone is a weird map when it comes to proxies, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Because you have the entire bottom side.
Yeah. So what happens quite a bit is that people, they mine their own patch and then they go and proxy in the middle, but people sometimes also mine their own patch and then proxy on the top side, so it's like a fake. So it's really difficult to make a call as to what is kicking off. Cyan here is moving early across the map.
So the reason obviously you would mine your own thing is because you can check and click on the bottom right side of the map, and if your probe runs towards the other side of the map, you know, okay, your opponent mined something out there, because that's the way the AI works.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you can also check for proxy wrecks, so that's how this fake would go. This is the reason why they would mine on their side first and then go somewhere else, because obviously you can't see it. So it wouldn't help you that much. But yeah, Cyan is playing super safe this time around, going for a gateway scout. I wonder why he's doing that. Also, can you explain to me why Cyan is going for a pylon inside as part of the wall? Because you can't even put a battery at the low ground here, can you?
No, I don't think you can do that here. I think you can do it with the other side pylon.
Really? I guess yeah, next to the mineral, a bit to the bottom of the minerals.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
It looks close to me. It looks. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I don't know why he does it like this. People have their own little things, the way that they like the wall. I don't criticize it. You can do what you want. As long as the cyber core is safe, I'm a happy man usually.
Alright. So you don't like walling with the cyber core?
No, I think that's bad. Because if you ever lose the ability to produce stalkers, that often ends up being fairly mediocre for you. As ShoWTimE with a Stalker Sentry, Cyan with a Stargate that went down at, what was this, 218 I think? Mm-hmm. Now if Cyan is a baller, he's gonna hide the 2 adepts. Nice.
Yeah, he will 100%.
Yeah.
You already know he's a baller, you don't even...
Yeah.
The moment you start a sentence like this...
Yeah. So the reason why this is a baller move is because if you play like this and then the probe comes back, throws down a pylon on your natural, this is really bad if you open up adept in a lot of scenarios, because it's going to delay your first 2 adepts moving across the map even more. You're not going to get a scout on the first 2 gateway units of your opponent, and you could just die against like a 4 or even a 2 stalker push. Could be really hard to hold 2 into 4 stalker. I don't want to say you just die, but it's fairly bad. So it's like small risk like this where Cyan takes all of them, you know? It's usually nothing bad is going to happen, but if ShoWTimE had come back with the probe and thrown on a pylon in the natural, that would have actually really sucked for Cyan, and I can't understate that. We're going to get a battery up in time for ShoWTimE. Cyan is going to basically just be mirroring the build of his opponent from last game. Oracle's going to pop out. 4 Adepts are here. And ShoWTimE playing a Sentry Stalker build. I don't mind this position for ShoWTimE very much, to be honest. I think this is one of the nicer spots to be in. If it's 4 Adept into Oracle and you open up with Sentry Stalker, triple Sentry, I think you're usually fine.
Yeah, he has enough units to defend at the front and in the main base. He also has the battery ready at the natural, so if he can't really be dove on inside his own base, just needs to make sure that he always has the probe there ready with the shield battery wall. So he already starts it preemptively every single time, so he makes sure that he doesn't get the probe sniped from the Oracle, for example, because that would actually be detrimental to his defensive capabilities here, as they add up together with the Oracle would actually defeat the Sentry army very handily, as Adepts are very good against Sentries.
Cyan, by the way, is going to follow this up with a 3-gate blink timing. This is the 3-gate blink timing that I actually use a lot post Oracle as well. This was a build that has a lot of success. So hold that thought as we see the Adepts moving in here, trying to snipe sentries, at least forcing force fields and Guardian Shield. And the 3rd gate hasn't been scouted. This is a huge move. He didn't get anything really done with those Adepts in order of serious damage, but the hallucinations have just been following these Oracles. And what I was going to say is that very often against double Oracle, as a Protoss player, when you're playing fast Blink, it feels natural to take a relatively quick 3rd base, not really respecting it, and maybe even cutting 1 or 2 Stalker Warp ins, then maybe even getting a Forge, you know, rather than a Stalker Warp in. And all of these things usually are okay if you're playing against 2-gate Stalker. But here Cyan is building 3-gate Stalker, and he's getting pretty fast Blink. There's 2 bad scenarios for ShoWTimE. If ShoWTimE had decided to move out with 2-gate Blink Stalkers, that would have really sucked. And if ShoWTimE would have decided to take a very fast 3rd base, maybe with a Forge plus Robo, and then just deciding to delay a couple of Stalker Warp-ins. That could technically still happen if ShoWTimE decides not to warp in any Stalkers, gets a Forge now, and starts chrono boosting probes like mad. But that doesn't quite seem to be the case. He's really respecting his opponent. He's playing this extremely safe, as I think Cyan here is going to get a kill on this Stalker.
He's going to get a kill on the Stalker. There's also no proxy pylon, so it's not like he has an immediate reinforcement. Reinforcement Cyan, that is. But still, as the defending player against the Oracles, you need to pre-split your Stalkers.
Yeah.
You can't just defend your bases with a shield battery each, because 2 Oracles obviously one-shot probes. So that's not a thing you can go for, which means if Cyan hits with everything at the front, ShoWTimE's out of position, this can still go badly for him. He actually has 2 hallucinated Stalkers, which I love, because he realizes, okay, he might be trying to hit me right before my shield battery is done. Let's try to hallucinate Stalkers, pull them towards the front, so they tank a lot of damage.
Yeah, don't forget that there's a 3rd prong to this attack as well, which is the potential Adept, right? So technically, Cyan could be hitting 3 bases at the same time. He's going to use the Oracles in the main army, and Adepts are actually idling in the middle. Not the tightest execution. ShoWTimE was pre-split, but 2 Stalkers versus 3 Adepts would not have been a great fight for him. Observer is going to get revelated there and will get taken out as well. Now, this wasn't even necessarily the biggest commitment here coming out of Cyan. It's not like he stopped probing behind this. This was just, he was testing the water, seeing if he could do anything. And he couldn't. And now he's going to move back. He's taking a very fast 4th base off of 3 gateways. He has +1, the same timing as his opponent. And ShoWTimE right now, he's adding another battery here on this base. Loses 1 Stalker there, I think that was. ShoWTimE's even adding another Immortal. Oh, Lambo.
Yeah, ShoWTimE is playing so safe. It's very similar to game number 1, where he thinks, okay, I just need to stay alive. But Cyan is not actually that all-in of a player. He's good in the macro games himself. He starts adding that Forge, he starts adding the upgrades. He gets the 4th base way earlier than ShoWTimE, and now he just, if he continues pro production, he's gonna surge ahead in the in-camp tab.
Yeah, these 5 gateways, once those finish, ShoWTime's gonna be in quite a bit of a pickle, as the 4th base is about to finish up here. No charge for Cyan confuses me a tiny tad, but he is on 4 gas already, so I guess he just wants the mass Stalkers till the end of time. ShoWTimE feels that something is wrong. He's like, wait, why do I have map control? Why am I allowed on the map all of a sudden? What's going on here? And he throws down his own 4th base. Cyan scouts this instantly, And this should trigger him to probably chrono at least 3 times on next side and just boom, straight up go to whatever work account he wants. I think that the fact that he's not doing that as quick actually disappoints me a little bit. It's almost as if Cyan is playing too safe now. It's like he can taste the victory. It's like, ooh, maybe a cannon in the natural in case it's DT, a battery in the natural. But Cyan is still in complete control of this game. He just saw his opponent expand much later than him. He doesn't need all of that crap. Cyan can take back map control right now. I think he has more stalkers. He's an even amount of stalkers. But he still has the oracles around, which some of them need to stay home. So he has map control. He just needs to take it.
Yeah, 100%. He also needs to continue his upgrades. His +1 is done and he didn't continue his upgrades. He could even take the gold base at this point. He killed 3 workers. ShoWTimE still didn't make any probes, by the way. So Cyan is severely outmining him right now with 3 mineral lines completely saturated. 76 workers is enough if you're on 4 gases. So even the main base is half mined out, so he has more workers than he needs. I wouldn't mind seeing a gold base, honestly, at this point from Cyan.
Yeah, I think you probably want to at least add a couple of gateways first. Like go up to 10 gateways, then maybe a gold. I'd be a bit scared. Especially because there's going to be a +2 timer because he forgot his own +2 for such a long time. So I'm okay with him just taking the gases first on his fort base and then going into a dark shrine, just having a little poke here. He has these stasis going up. Nice move out of ShoWTimE there. Hallucinated zealots. As 1 stasis in the back still could be used. Ooh, that's a much bigger stasis than I think it should have been because ShoWTimE was aware of that. Immortal is going to fall. Cyan here has spotted the fact that this is charge lot Archon. And in order to beat this, I think all you really need to do is just add more and more stalkers and just add 1 or 2 batteries at the base here. And you should be somewhat okay. ShoWTimE thinks that he can continue pushing in forward. I mean, he has a big army and his +2 is about to finish up. Has a prism as well. He might be capable of just pushing forward. There's a lot of cash in the bank here for Cyan. Doesn't have those extra gateways that I was talking about earlier. And it's just now adding the batteries. That is a little bit late.
It is a little bit late. ShoWTimE also has an observer ready, so the Dark Shrine will not come in too handy defensively at the very least. Cyan now trying to blink forward. This is a nice choke to hold against the Zealots. Gets a lot of Zealots, but this also means that he completely forfeits his position at the 3rd base. So he now will have to fight up the ramp into a concave. He should jump on that warp prism, gets it, but only after the Zealots manage to warp in. So Cyan now needs to kite back while his 3rd base is under attack, under heavy pressure from ShoWTimE as well. A new warp in finally is done. Overcharge is activated, and now Cyan once again got himself into a nice concave position. The thing is, it's 2-0 versus 2-0, but there's 2 Immortals constantly dishing out damage. He blinks forward on top of them, trying to take out both of them. Cyan's just floating so much money, he just cannot spend this money. The gateways that you talked about earlier are just not here, and Cyan is just dying due to his poor macro right now.
Yeah, 1800 minerals in the bank, that equals about 36 supply. Cyan is not dead yet. He's gonna go for a triple DT warp in. Those could potentially do something. We see a couple of cannons going down on the side of ShoWTimE. Work count for Cyan is still looking somewhat okay, as he's gonna try and take back map control. He still has that bank. Of course, he can use it to warp in, and over time he's gonna be capable of spending that money. Supplies are still somewhat even, and he's gonna be up an armor upgrade. So that is something at least. ShoWTimE has taken a 5th behind all of this on the gold base, is now in control of this game. But this is by no means over.
Yeah, by no means over. ShoWTimE still very aggressive. Oh, that was I think he wanted to A-move the ground and click one of the units. This sometimes happens with armies this big. So Cyan move commanding forward there a little bit, losing too many units. There's a DT counterattack. ShoWTimE added, the moment he realized things were starting to go well for him, he added a cannon in every single base. So this is not going to be as effective as it would have been maybe a minute ago.
Yeah, recall absolute necessity here, as 3 DTs do manage to slice through a super battery as well. There's no observer though defensively. The cannon will fall. Oh, there is an observer that just popped out, as these DTs will fall. And yeah, Cyan double expanding. I think that is a very good call. Still is floating a bit of cash. He's gonna, magically get another 20-25 supply out of that. These DTs once again getting caught is real bad for Cyan, because the moment these get cleaned up, ShoWTimE can start taking a lot of map control. Moving out on the map, and yeah, this is not looking so great here for our Chinese Protoss player. He had gold in his hands. Like, he was so close here in this game. But right now the situation is looking a little bit more dire from his side. Stalkers here being pushed back by the Zealot Stalker Force at the same StarTime. ShoWTimE attacking with Stalker Zealot on the right side as well. ShoWTimE still down an upgrade, but up about 40 army supply. And I think 40 army supply is a little bit bigger than 1 armor upgrade here.
It is for sure, especially with Protoss units. They usually shoot a little bit slower, but do more damage per shot, so the armor upgrades don't tend to matter as much, as they also don't affect the shields. And yeah, ShoWTimE knows he's ahead, so he just tries to engage her. He sees, okay, the super battery was popped, so he can just wait it out, then go again. With the overwhelming zealot amounts that he has, he even has 4 observers here together with the army, which I think is an overkill. A 5th one also joins the fray. As he does go forward, he blocks all of his zealots. This is about the worst fight that you could have ever imagined for him. But I think he's still fine.
Yeah. Cyan, by the way, is up 10 workers. And Cyan also still has an absolutely massive bank. ShoWTimE also starting to float a little bit. Cyan now going up to 12 gates. It just has been struggling this entire game with producing crap. This is a great rotation, by the way. Was this a blind rotation out of Cyan? No, he has an observer there. And he realized exactly what was going on. He's going to try to defend here with his Stalkers. Charge lots are going to try and connect with some of Cyan's Stalkers. This 5th base should probably be given up at this point. The problem is that there's no counter-attack. So usually if you have to give up a base like that, you want to launch a counter-attack somewhere. So you deal some damage, you know? But that's not at all what's happening here. Cyan is just... He's just taking damage, he's taking damage, he's giving up a base, he's giving up that, he's giving up positions. I think the only viable play here for Cyan right now is to sit on 4 bases for a little bit, just say, hey, I don't want to fight, then max out, and then perhaps take a 5th base, so that you can take good defensive fights with a maxed out army, then take a 5th base. Another thing you could do, oh, this actually is a very good blink forward. It's going to take a couple of Stalkers out. At the same time, it means that your natural is exposed. Another thing he could have done, by the way, is just build a lot of cannons on 4 base and then try to go into disruptors. But against a player of ShoWTimE's caliber, that often doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean, his setup now is basically what you described. It's not really voluntarily that he's only defending on 4th base, but it's just more that ShoWTimE keeps killing the 5th base of Cyan. But that also means that Cyan is getting close to max out, and he has a lot of static defense. He has 3 batteries at the 3rd. He has a lot of batteries at the 4th as well. He has a cannon at every single base. So it's going to be difficult for ShoWTimE to finish this game. Cyan also still has an entire gold base to mine from, so he could come back that way. And ShoWTimE is not really expanding his lead throughout tech. But now he gets a good surround on the Stalkers. It's a good initial start to the engagement. Cyan was a little bit late with the bottom army to come and join together with his main force, as I mean, ShoWTimE Zealots don't usually get that much surface area, but he just has so many of them that it doesn't really matter. As long as they tank for the Stalkers and the Stalkers get to fight, it usually ends up being a fine fight for ShoWTimE, as they're pretty much even in upgrades now as well. Now that ShoWTimE also has his shield upgrade, even a superior concave for ShoWTimE and a mortar joining in from the bottom, and that should be the last we've seen of Cyan in this game.
Yes, ShoWTimE's going to keep his group chances alive here in the group of that. Group D, Cyan taps out with a GG. ShoWTimE takes a hard-fought victory. 2-1 score.